Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. Okay, we are going to make crepes today. And before we do that, I have about a little less than a pint of stock, chicken, poultry stock actually, that I made. And I'm gonna put 2 chicken breasts in there. Okay, we're gonna make this chicken breast by poaching it in this liquid. Okay, that will result in a really tender chicken. You can use a rotisserie chicken, but I don't have one, so I'm gonna just use that. I'm also gonna add some of this better than bouillon in there, just a little bit. This one is the roasted garlic base, so I'm gonna add about like a half a teaspoon of that into here as well. And you don't want to boil it in here. You just want to gently poach it, okay? So you want everything just to not go above a simmer. So a simmer is right before the boil, okay? So that's what you're looking for in here. And then when you get to a simmer, you just want to lower the temperature, okay? So that's our chicken. Okay, we're gonna actually do more with that. We're gonna make a cream sauce with it, but this is just the preparation of the chicken for that cream sauce. And you may have noticed something that looks similar to our Oster Kitchen Center, but a little different. This is the Sunbeam Food Preparation Center. Okay, so this was Sunbeam, which later actually merged with Oster to form one company. So this was their competition to that. And it works very similar. It has a slightly different food processor, and it has slightly different bowls for the mixer. So these are the mixer bowls. They're the same size. They're just one's deeper than the other. Okay, so that's one difference. The other difference is the food processor, which I'll show you later. But this one, they don't all have this chute. So that's one difference. But we will look at that because we'll prepare some ingredients for the crepe filling from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the crepe batter. So we're going to take off the arm here, okay? And that's going to expose the power hub here. Okay, we're going to put that aside because we're not going to use that right now. In fact, we're going to use that tomorrow. We'll make cupcakes with it. But today we're going to use the blender. So we're going to pop on the blender attached in here. And this blender, I just want to make sure. Yeah. So this blender just sits on there. It has a very different coupling. So it has this different coupling than the kitchen center, okay? It just sits there, and that's how it attaches. Okay, so we have a half a cup, and this is a recipe for savory or entree crepes. So it has a half a cup of milk and half a cup of stock, the same chicken stock. So that's why I said I had less than a pint in the pot here, because I used a half a cup for the batter here. Okay, then we're gonna add a half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm actually going to add that at the top because we don't want that to curdle these eggs. Okay, so we're going to actually add the eggs next. Okay, so you want to smash the eggs on a surface, and then I think it's a good idea to always break them into a bowl in case you get shell, in case, God forbid, you get a bad egg. You didn't ruin your whole mixture. Okay, so there's our 4 eggs. We're going to pour them into the blender bowl. Okay, then we're going to add our flour, and we need a cup of flour, and it needs to be sifted. So I have a sifter here. I have my cup of flour. I'm going to put that into the sifter, and then I'm going to sift this flour in there. And this is a really important step because you want a really smooth batter. If you didn't sift the flour, you might get like lumps in your batter. Okay? And just got a little bit of flour in there. And we're good. Okay? So there's our batter. Oh, and our melted butter. Okay? So we have 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Okay? And that's it. We're going to add that in there. We're going to put the lid on. And we're going to blend this at medium. Okay, so this has this great toggle switch here. And there's a range for the crepes it actually has on there at 6. So that's for the mixer, but we're using for the blender. And the blender kind of has a low, medium, and high. So we're going to go to 5 for that. Okay, and we're just going to run the blender. And I'm just going to scrape the top here a little bit because there is some flour there, so we want to make sure we get that all in there. Okay, we don't want anything not to be blended. So this blender is very much like an Oster blender. The only difference is the Oster blender is like metal to metal, which is really ideal for a blender. Okay, so we're good. So there's our batter for our crepes, and now we're going to move over to the stove, and we're going to look at how to make crepes using a pan. There's different ways you can do it. You can use a crepe maker, you can use a pan like we're going to do, and you could do some other, there's like a crepe iron that you can use. I have all of them and I've used them all, but for convenience sake and ease, I'm just going to use this one. Okay, and we're going to do it at the stove. So we'll be right back at the stove. Okay, so we are at the stove. You can see, I'm going to just pan over. You can see we have our chicken breast in there, and I'm actually going to just flip them just so that they're all submerged in the liquid. Okay, so you can see they're already just about cooked. So we will be ready to make the cream sauce pretty soon. But you can make the crepes in advance, and that's what we're going to do right now. So we're going to go over here to this burner. I'm going to turn on the burner. And this is a crepe pan. It's made by Debier, which is a French company. It's made of carbon steel. Carbon steel is a really good material. It's like a lightweight version of cast iron. And it's used often in making these type of pans. So I'm also going to pull out a plate here so we can stack our crepes as they come. So I'm going to put that in the back there, and let's get making some crepes. So what we're going to do, you need about a quarter of a cup of batter, okay? And so I'm going to get a quarter of a cup measuring spoon here, and we're going to use it right out of the thing here, okay? And you're going to put it in, and then you're going to just move it all around the pan. Okay, you got to do this kind of like as soon as it happens, because the batter immediately starts cooking. And it's a pancake. So you want to go by the rules of a pancake. When you see it dry and the bubbles form, then you're ready to flip. And unlike a American pancake, you just want to flip it just enough so that you get a little bit of setting on the other side. It doesn't have to be cooked all the way on the other side the way an American pancake is. Okay, so we are just about set here. It looks like we have a little bit of, see this burner, you may have heard me talk about it before. You have this kind of cold zone in the middle here, and that's the problem with this burner. So I think I may actually switch to the other burner, just because it gives a little bit more of a firm cooking. So this is what you're looking for in a crepe. You want, excuse me, one side to have this golden brown side. Okay, the other side could look kind of just set like this side is, but one side you want to have a nice golden brown side. Okay, so we want to make sure we have that on one of the sides. So I think I'm going to just flip this over again like this, okay? You want it kind of like that. And I'm going to tell you, the first crepe is always meh, okay? It's just not great because the pan is getting heated up. You're getting the lay of the land. So it's okay if the first crepe isn't perfect. Okay, now the crepe pan is pretty well seasoned, okay? That's one of the great things. Just like cast iron, it's pretty much non-stick. So we're just gonna add more batter. We're gonna shake it so that we get all the crepe pan coated. And then we're gonna flip it. So we're gonna wait for our bubbles. We're getting a nice edge here. That's what we want, like a nice lacy edge. Okay, oh yeah. See, after the first one, oh, made a little boo-boo there. And see, that's the good thing. You could kind of fix the boo-boo, okay? But I do think I'm gonna switch over here. Okay, we're gonna switch these pans because I think that this one will give a little bit more of an even flame. See how it's more in the center of this pan? So this is the only thing I don't like about this stove, okay? So we're gonna take that, add it to our pile there, and we're just gonna keep going, okay? Just wanna rotate it, make sure it gets all coated. The more you coat, the thinner your crepe will be, and that's what you want. You don't want a pancake, you want a nice thin crepe. Okay. Now I gotta turn this one down because we're back over there. And while this is going, I'm just gonna keep preparing the measure so it's ready to go for the next one. Okay. That'll allow me to kind of go a little faster here. And that other pan that I have the chicken cooking in, okay, see, each one just gets a little bit better. See how we got these lacy edges there? These nice lacy edges. And we have this nice browning. That's what we want. Okay. So we're ready for the next one. And you just want to spread it around. Okay. And you can, like, see how I'm like filling it in? You can do that too. You can just kind of fix your mistakes too, or you could leave it like that because they're going to be rolled. Okay, so it's not this big deal if it is not perfectly round, because you're going to roll it up and it's going to be fine. Okay, so fret not if this happens. See, I'm trying to show you all the possible snafus that could happen here. Okay. And, you know, if you have Teflon hands like me, you don't even need to use this spatula. Okay? It doesn't stick. And you just want to set it on the next side. Okay? So it's good. Ready for the next one. Oh my goodness. I'm sure you could see it, but there's just so much going on in this kitchen right now. I just have stuff on all the counters, and I just have a whole bunch of stuff going on, so it's just a lot of moving parts here. I'll show you here. See, we can just, I'm not going to get too cocky here. Just want to maybe pull it up from there. And then you can just flip it. Okay. And this, like I said, this is an entree crepe or crepe. It's not a breakfast. It's not a sweet crepe. It's an entree crepe. So it's really, it's a savory batter. It's meant for savory fillings. And that's exactly what we're going to put into it. Okay. So someday I'll do some other crepes with the electric crepe makers because they're really fun. A lot of them involve the iron as like it looks like a frying pan, and you dip it, it's the reverse of this. You dip it into the batter and then you turn it upright and it cooks on like the hump. There's one that's called Monsieur Crêpe from Sunbeam, and that one actually has a pan like this, and it actually goes upside down. So you dip this part into the batter, and then you put it onto like a hot heating. It's like a little grill that it fits on, and then will that will make your I'm sorry, heat it up, and then you just turn it off. So it's like the reverse of this pan. It's shaped exactly like this pan. Okay, so that's an interesting one. And then of course, like the real electric French ones, you just cook on the grill, and I'll show you those too. Okay. So we are almost done. So it's a quick thing, and you can prepare this ahead of time. You do not have to prepare this as your guests arrive. Okay, they don't have to be made fresh. In fact, you can keep them, you could store them, you could put them in the refrigerator. The fillings are going to warm them up. Okay, and in some sweet dishes like crêpes Suzette, you're actually going to put it in liquor, and you're going to flambe it or set it on fire. So crêpes are they're a great dish for entertaining. Okay, because you could do all this before your guests get there, and you could just kind of put it together, or even have your guests put it together. Okay, it's a really fun way to eat. Okay, so I highly recommend trying crêpes. I enjoy them a lot. They're very versatile. You can put literally anything in them. You can put French things in them. You could put Mexican things in them. You could put Chinese things in them. You could put any Swahili things in it. You could put anything you could imagine. If it's something that will melt, or something that's saucy, or something that is a meat, you can fill a crêpe with it. Okay, so it's just a really versatile meal. Okay, and any of these little mistakes we make, they're fine. They're going to be rolled up. Okay, they're going to be rolled up. They're going to be folded up. They're going to be filled. It doesn't matter if there's a little break or snap. It's just going to be put into, the filling will be in it. Okay, so don't worry about mistakes. Okay, all right, we got one, maybe two more worth of batter. Now the one thing you do want to look at, you see, maybe you can see it. See how it's wet there? You do want to wait until it at least dries before you flip it. So you could wait for the bubbles, or you could wait till it dries, and that will be your indicator to flip it. Okay. Okay, so there's that. This one, and then maybe one more. Let's see. And see how I kept that container over top of there? That's a really good idea, because that really allows you to, as I had that little hole there, it just allows you to kind of fill in those holes. here's our second to the last crepe. Okay, flip it over. And then here's our last one. And this one may not be a full one. That's okay. This cockamamie crepe. And turn off our flame here. And we are done with crepes. And now we have this nice pile of crepes. And literally the world is our oyster of how to fill these. Okay, anything you could imagine you can use to fill these crepes. Okay, so here's our crepes. Okay, we have tons of them, probably like 15 servings there, and then we can fill them. So we're going to make a cream sauce, and then we're going to put this chicken in it. So we'll be back and we'll make that cream sauce. We are back and we are making the cream sauce. So we have a couple tablespoons of butter in there, and to that we're going to add some shallot, about 2 small shallots we're going to add to that. And the shallot is diced to like a very fine dice. Okay, so that's what we want to cook it at. Okay, and you want to make sure it's all in the butter because we're about to add the flour. Okay, so we just want to make sure it gets cooked a little bit, and then we're going to add the flour. Okay, so we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of flour. There's 1. And there's 2. Okay. So there's our flour. And we want to make sure that all that flour gets into the butter and that there's no lumps, because that will make our cream sauce lumpy. And we're just trying to cook off the flour, okay? So that looks about good. Then we're going to add some parsley, and I'm adding dry parsley just because I don't have fresh parsley. But if I had fresh parsley, I would definitely add that. Same thing with these chives. Okay, but I just want those flavors into the sauce. Dill is would be nice too. And this is a good time to add them because it kind of wakes up their flavor and it will incorporate the butter. Okay, now we're gonna add our cream. Okay, and we're adding heavy cream there. And I think we could add some milk. So we'll do kind of like a half and half thing here. Okay. And we're gonna just kind of whisk that in there. And then that will kind of get our sauce thickening. And then we will add our chicken. Okay, so we got to bring it up to a boil, and then that will make us ready to. I'm also going to add some pepper here, some freshly ground pepper, and some flaky salt. Okay. So we may need a little bit more of those, but just to get us started, we'll add that. Okay. And we want this to come to the boil so that it will thicken our sauce. And then we'll add our chicken in, and then we could plate our crepes. And you want to make sure that you're stirring this. It's really helpful to stir it too, because then you'll know when it's thickening too. Okay? I mean, you'll see it thicken, but it will really thicken. Like, you'll be able to feel it with the whisk. And like I said, you could add all different kinds of herbs in there. I like these two because they're very mild. You could add tarragon. Tarragon would be a great herb to add in there. And a very French herb, tarragon. You could add dill, like I said. You could add a little paprika, whatever you want to add. Okay, so you could see it's starting to thicken now. So we're about good. So I'm just gonna add, I just took the chicken and I diced it up from our chicken breast. Okay, so we have these nice, delicate pieces added to our sauce. Okay, and we want to add them all in there. Okay, we're at thickening stage, so we can actually turn this down. And the chicken pieces are very tender, okay? Because they're poached in liquid, and you just want them to be done, okay? You can get very overcooked chicken if you don't keep an eye on it, okay? So we'll incorporate that. We want to make sure that all the chicken gets incorporated into here. Let's see. Do we have any more chicken in here? Nope. Okay. And that's it. So now all you have to do is just take your crepe. You want to get a nice plate. And we're going to use this really, I'm going to show you how lovely it could be, even with this crummy one, our very last one. Okay, so you're going to take your filling and you're going to put it in the center of your crepe. Okay, then you're going to take your crepe and you're just going to roll it up and encase the filling. Now, there's different ways you can do your crepe. This is the way I like to do it, just because it gives a nice presentation. You could put like 2 of them and get a nice look. Then you're going to take a little bit of your sauce and spoon it over top of your crepe. Now, the mushrooms that I saved from my from the pizza, I wanted to put on top. I'm actually going to save them and use them tomorrow to do another crepe filling. So we'll have another video of different crepe fillings. Okay? Okay, kitchen kings and queens. Now is the piece of resistance when we can try this delicious crepe. Okay, so got a little bit of the cream, a little bit of the chicken. It's delicious. It's very simple, but very elegant. Nice, the herbs come through. The cream is just like a warm coziness to the chicken. The chicken is tender. The crepe has great flavor. This is just a really great dish. And you can keep it all held like this. We have our chicken here held in our sauce. Just keep that. I would put it over top of like a double boiler so that it doesn't separate or get too hot. You have your crepes. You just put it together. You got a meal made for a king. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you try this. Tomorrow we will make some cupcakes and some really nice buttercream. I'm very excited about this buttercream because it's not very sweet. And I love buttercream, but I love buttercream where the butter really comes through and isn't overpowered by the sugar. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. We'll make another crepe mixture with some sauteed mushrooms and some Gruyere, like a cheesy mushroom filling. And we'll do that tomorrow. All right, bye for now.